So, of course, the 1 week that I'm out on vacation happens to be probably the biggest week in AI that we've had so far this summer, because this week is the week that Meta finally released their newest version of Llama, called Llama 3.1. Now, Llama 3.1 is an upgraded model of the previously released Llama 3, and it now comes in 3 sizes instead of just 2. We've got our 8 billion parameter model, our 70 billion parameter model, and our 405 billion parameter model. This is essentially the amount of data that was trained into the model. The bigger the model, typically the better it is at things like reasoning and math, and just generally has the most amount of use cases for it. Some of the things that these new versions of Llama can do are things like use tools. It's got multilingual agents, so for an example, translate the story of Hansel and Gretel into Spanish. It's better at complex reasoning, and it's better at coding. If we look at some of the benchmarks that Meta shared, we can see here that a lot of the benchmarks actually outperform all of the other state-of-the-art models in a lot of areas. The current sort of leaders are GPT-4 Omni and Claude 3.5 Sonnet, and we can see that this Llama 3.1 405 billion parameter model actually outperformed these other models in a lot of the various benchmark testing. So we actually have an open source model now that is pretty much on par with what you get out of things like GPT-4 Omni and Claude 3.5 Sonnet. And when looking at their 8 billion parameter model, the smaller model that they just released, it pretty much outperforms in basically every area compared to the other similar sized smaller models. But what really makes this one powerful is the fact that it is open source. You can actually download these models, they're publicly available, and anybody can update them and fine tune them. Something that can't really be said about Claude 3.5 Sonnet or GPT-4o. We can see here it says, developers can fully customize the models for their needs and applications, train on new datasets, and conduct additional fine tuning. So developers and engineers now have a model to play around with and fine-tune and optimize for whatever they need it for that's as powerful as something like GPT-4o and Claude 3.5 Sonnet.
Great news for developers. Meta is here for you guys.
This is huge for the open source.
How many of you are actually doing or working on LLMs? Please let us know in the comments below. And what kind of resources do you people use? What kind of use cases do you people have? And are you people building for a specific use case? कोई specific customer है आपका जिसके लिए आप build कर रहे हो? Please comments में हमें बताइए.
AI community. There's one slight caveat to the open sourceness of this, and that's that if we look at the additional commercial terms here under the licensing agreement, it says if you have more than 700 million monthly active users, you must request a license from Meta, which Meta may grant to you in its sole discretion. So if you use these Llama models to build something that gets more than 700 million active users, then you need to sort of work it out with Meta.
आपने अगर इनसे पैसा बनाया तो आपसे वो पैसा लेंगे. So basically this is again for the smaller developers, it's a win. For the bigger ones, of course, as you people have grown and used this model और आपको actually में value मिल रही है, you're actually able to make some money or get 700 million plus का traction. तब तो यार बनता है मेटा के साथ थोड़ा बहुत revenue share. What do you guys think? आप इसको use करेंगे? और अगर आप करेंगे और 700 million का आपको अगर MAU मिलता है तो प्लीज हमें कमेंट्स में बताइए कि आप मेटा के साथ ये रेव शेयर करना चाहेंगे यार.
And they're probably going to want a piece of that pie or something. I don't know. Now, most people aren't going to be able to download and run the 405 billion parameter model on their own local machines. Not only are the files hundreds of gigabytes, but you're going to need more VRAM than most people have. Even if you're running a 4090 from NVIDIA, you're probably still not going to be able to run it on your computer. However, you can go and play with these models in a couple of places. You can use it at Meta AI, you can use it in WhatsApp, you can use it in Instagram Messenger, Facebook Messenger. All of the various messaging platforms that Facebook offers are now using the latest model. And if you have them,
भैया चैटबॉट बना रहे हो आप लोग अगर इंस्टाग्राम या व्हाट्सएप के लिए तो प्लीज यूज करें. और इनफैक्ट हाउ मेनी ऑफ यू आर एक्चुअली मेकिंग चैटबॉट्स? प्लीज लेट अस नो डाउन इन द कमेंट्स बिलो. We'd love to test it out, probably review it in the channel, and hopefully give you guys a little bit of traction as well. Batana, please.
That are Ray-Bans as well. They're getting the latest model built into them as well. I don't think it's in there yet, but they're going to be getting the latest versions of Llama built into them as well. But probably the easiest place to go and play around and test the models right now is just over at Meta AI. You can see we have a chatbot here. If I ask the chatbot, what LLM are you currently using? It'll tell me I'm Meta AI and I'm based on Llama 3, a state-of-the-art language model developed by Meta. I'll say, which version of Llama are you running? I'm a large language model based on Meta Llama 3.1. It's not really giving me the answers outright, but I'll say how many parameters, and you can see this one's based on the 70 billion parameter model here. But if you want the absolute fastest way to use Llama 3.1, well, it was just rolled out onto Grok's platform as well. We can see here they put out an article that says Grok supercharges fast AI inference for Meta Llama 3.1.
Twitter और Meta के बीच में पार्टनरशिप है. They're fighting against OpenAI. शायद यही केस है. What do you guys think? Let us know down in the comments below.
Grok is proud to partner with Meta on this key industry launch and run the latest Llama 3.1 models, including 405B, 70B, and 8B at Grok speed. Now, if we jump over to grok.com where we can actually chat, we can see up in the right corner, we can change which model we're using. We now have Llama 3.18 billion instant and Llama 3.170B versatile. We don't have Llama 3.1405 here in Grok because apparently they're only making that available for enterprises at the moment. But if we go ahead and select Llama 3.170B here and ask it a question or give it a prompt, for example, explain the trolley problem and tell me how to solve it, watch how fast this responds. This is all real time. I didn't pause anything. It generated at 250 tokens per second, and the entire output was back to me in 3.22 seconds with this whole explanation here. But if you do want to use the 405 billion parameter model, it was also built into Perplexity right after it was announced. Aravan says Llama 3.1405B, the most capable open source model, is up and running on Perplexity for all pro users. So you do have to be a pro user, but if we go over to perplexity.ai, click into our settings, and then come down here to AI model, I typically use it with Claude 3.5 Sonnet. I now have the option to run it on Llama 3.1 405 billion parameter. So let's go ahead and select that, go home, and now any prompt I enter into Perplexity here is going to be running this newest model from Meta. I use Perplexity a lot these days. I'm mostly switching back and forth between Claude 3.5 Sonnet and Perplexity. I use Claude when I want to sort of work through problems and answer questions and get help summarizing things like that. And I use Perplexity if I know it needs to search the web or if I need to do some deep research. And now we can also use Llama 3.1405B inside of Perplexity. Now, if Llama 3.1 was the only thing that happened this week, that would have been a pretty big week in AI on its own. But that's not all that happened this week. Mistral AI, another company that's sort of competing with Meta for creating the best open source models, released Mistral Large 2. Now, Mistral Large 2 is a 123 billion parameter model, which, based on the headline from Mistral, is large enough. We can see it from their little charts here.
भाई कितने data points है यार, 123 billion? I mean, this is crazy, man.
Their webpage that Mistral Large 2 is actually outperforming the Llama 3.170B, the newest model in math performance. And here's some more benchmark comparisons from this Mistral model. We can see from the human eval benchmark, Mistral Large 2 just slightly underperforms GPT-4o, it outperforms Claude 3.5 Sonnet, and it outperforms Llama 3.1405B, the newest model from Meta. And it pretty much is on par with the best state-of-the-art closed and open source models in all these other benchmarks here. When tested on code generation, this Mistral Large 2 outperformed all these other models in Python, C++, Bash, Java, TypeScript, PHP, and C#. But noticeably missing from this list here is Claude 3.5 Sonnet, which, if I had to guess, they left that out because Claude 3.5 Sonnet probably beat out Mistral in a lot of these, but I'm just speculating. Why did they put Claude up here in these comparisons, but didn't mention it in these comparisons down here? I don't know. The point being here is that we are getting some really great open source models that are starting to compete with the bigger closed source models from companies like Anthropic and OpenAI. And when we get open source models like this, it's just the beginning. They're going to get fine-tuned, they're going to get optimized, and they don't have the same rules and boundaries and biases and things like that that the closed models do have. I mean, maybe these initial versions might, but because they're open source and other people are going to go and sort of iterate off of them, a lot of that stuff's going to be yanked away and perfected and optimized over time. So this is a really powerful moment in time for AI, especially open source AI. And Apple's getting into the game as well. Apple showed off a smaller model this week, a 7 billion parameter and a 1.4 billion parameter model, and they're making these open source as well. Their new model outperformed Mistral 7B, and they claim they're getting close to Llama 3 and Gemma, but this is obviously before Llama 3.1 came out, so who knows how close it is to the newest small model from Meta. Google's Gemini model got a big upgrade this week as well. According to Google's article here,
I think this is the new electricity race here. AI is the new electricity race. It's going to be everywhere. It's going to be in everything. एक ज़माना था जैसे हम तो like for example our kids are being born in the internet age. We were born technically in the electricity age. और हमारे parents के time पे I think electricity lines were put in and every house got electricity. Now it's like normal. It's a necessity, right? Everybody uses it. Everybody has it. But imagine when there used to be no electricity and how things used to be run. And once electricity got into every house, then applications started running through it. And then there were different tools which were created, right? उससे पहले की दुनिया अलग थी, of course, same चीजें, but now then electrified. So the same thing is happening with AI right now. That अभी जितनी भी चीजें हम काम कर रहे हैं, जितनी भी मैनुअल चीजें होंगी, धीरे धीरे वो ऑटोमेट होंगी, उसमें AI आएगा और उसके बाद आपको बस एक प्रॉम्प्ट डालना पड़ेगा और वो चीज खुद ब खुद हो जाएगी. शायद आपके बच्चों के टाइम पे ये चीज मेन स्ट्रीम हो जाएगी और आपके ग्रैंड पेरेंट्स के टाइम पे दे वुड आस्क कि अच्छा इसके लिए आपको कोड लिखना पड़ता, ये तो मैं एक बार बोलूंगा और ये चीज हो जाती है और ये मैं बटन दबाऊंगा और ये सारी चीजें हो जाती हैं. दैट इज वेयर द वर्ल्ड इज मूविंग टुवर्ड्स. जहां तक AGI की बात है, I think there is a lot of speculation. हुआ नहीं हुआ, I don't know. Have we achieved it or not achieved it? I think the question is immaterial for the normal public because the applications and use cases जो कि एक normal consumer या फिर एक normal आदमी या फिर एक normal individual की life को matter करेंगी, उसमें AGI अगर कुछ करता है, singularity achieve होती है, नहीं उसका कोई लेना देना नहीं है. I think the bottommost 5% of the use cases are the ones which will be rolled out to the mainstream public, and that effect itself is going to be so massive that everything that we are listening to or we are going through is going to be material after that.
They're upgrading the free tier of Gemini to Gemini 1.5 Flash, and they claim you'll notice improvements in quality and latency, with especially noticeable improvements in reasoning and image understanding. And they've also expanded the amount of tokens on the free version of Gemini to 32,000 tokens. And according to this, to get the most out of the larger context window, we'll soon add the ability to upload files via Google Drive or directly from your device, which is already available in Gemini Advanced, but will soon be available in the free version of Gemini. So you'll be able to throw documents inside of Google Drive and use that for context for whatever you're prompting inside of Gemini. They're now displaying links to related content for fact-seeking prompts in Gemini. So if you think it's hallucinating, you can actually double-check the source that it's getting that information.
बढ़िया यार, डायरेक्टली गूगल ड्राइव का लिंक डालोगे और उसको एक्सेस दोगे और डायरेक्टली जेमिनी से आप उसका प्रॉम्प्ट निकाल सकते हो.
Adding Gemini directly in Google Messages on select Android devices, and a handful of other features are all coming into Gemini. They're now displaying links to related content for fact-seeking prompts in Gemini. So if you think it's hallucinating, you can actually double-check the source that it's getting that information from. They're adding Gemini directly in Google Messages on select Android devices, and a handful of other features are all coming into Gemini. So all of the companies building large language models seem to have really big news this week. And of course, you can't have a big week at AI from Meta and Google and Apple and Mistral without OpenAI getting in the game and trying to overshadow a little bit with their latest announcements, including the fact that now you can actually fine-tune GPT-4o, and you can do it for free for up to 2 million training tokens a day. Now, this is a sort of limited time thing. This is only through September 23rd. But they're trying to get people to get in, use GPT-4o, and fine-tune it on their own custom data. So if you're a company that wants to fine-tune it on your own internal documents, or you want to fine-tune it to just work with sort of health applications or biology applications, you can go and do that and experiment with it for free to up to 2 million training tokens a day right now. This week, OpenAI announced Search GPT. Now, there was speculation that this was going to come out months ago, back when we got the GPT-4o announcement. A lot of the speculation was that this was going to be the announcement, this Search GPT. Sam Altman here says, we think there's room to make search much better than it is today. We're launching a new prototype called Search GPT. They put out a blog post about it with some more explanation of what we can expect. They do say it's a temporary prototype of a new AI search feature. If we look at their little sort of demo animation here, it looks like you can ask it a question, and it gives us a response that looks very similar to what you get out of Perplexity or even Google Search with AI or Bing Search, where it actually gives you the answer with sources, maybe some images, some weather data was in that.
Wow. So basically Google Search का competitor है ये, Search GPT.
Screenshot. We can see here they do an example prompt of music festivals in Boone, North Carolina in August, and we got a response here where it shows the various music festivals with images and links.
Interesting point ये है कि ये इनका data point क्या है? Where are they pulling this data from? Because जहाँ तक crawlers की बात है, Google has crawlers across. Does OpenAI का network of crawlers also that big, or is it taking an API from a Bing or a Google or a DuckDuckGo or something like that? I think OpenAI और Microsoft का जो partnership है, वो Bing से ये data खींचता होगा. What do you guys think? In fact, अगर आपको पता है इस चीज के बारे में तो आप प्लीज कमेंट सेक्शन में हमें जरूर बताइएगा.
To the actual source of the information, there's a little link button that opens up actual search results like you might see in something like Google. So it looks pretty promising, but it also looks kind of like what we get from Perplexity right now. And of course, they're rolling it out to a select number of people to test it, but you can join the waitlist, and maybe if you're lucky, you'll be one of the people that gets to test it before everybody else. And we also got another little tease from Sam Altman. Marco here says, when are we getting voice? And Sam Altman actually replied to him and said, alpha rollout starts to Plus subscribers next week. So if you're a ChatGPT Pro user, we might be getting to see the voice feature that they showed off and got in trouble for because of the Scarlett Johansson stuff. We might get to see that like next week, maybe. We'll see. There's also some news out of Anthropic this week, albeit not as favorable or good news. It looks like Anthropic's scraping bots are scraping websites at an insane rate, even when the websites are telling them not to scrape their website. We can see Kyle Weens here says, hey, Anthropic AI, I get you're hungry for data. Claude is really smart, but do you really need to hit our servers 1 million times in 24 hours? You're not only taking our content without paying, you're tying up our DevOps resources. Not cool. And according to them, they specifically are asking in their terms of service for companies like Claude not to scrape them. Now, just adding it to your terms of service, I don't believe is going to prevent some of these bots from scraping your site, but theoretically, you should be able to add it to your robots.txt file, which should tell a lot of these bots, hey, don't scrape this site. And if I scroll down this thread a little bit here, it says our terms of service banned machine learning training before their crawl. Afterwards, we added them to robots.txt. So it looks like they're doing the proper things to avoid scraping, and Anthropic's been scraping it anyway. And this is going to be a hot debate over the coming months, probably the coming years, and we're going to talk about it a little bit more in this video a little bit later when I get into some of the news around AI video. But I'm still in the large language model weeds with you right now, and XAI and Grok is another pretty substantial large language model. Well, Elon Musk was on an interview this week. He said that Grok 2.0 is coming very soon, and it's going to be on par with GPT-4o or Claude 3.5 Sonnet, but he also went on to say in this interview that Grok 3.0 will be the most powerful AI in the world, and they're expecting to release it by December. Now, Elon sort of has a tendency to say something is coming at a certain time and then sort of under-deliver on that time promise, so we'll see if we actually do get it by December, but he's claiming that this will be the most powerful AI model that we've ever seen. And to sort of back that up a little bit here, we can see this other tweet from Elon saying, nice work by XAI team, NVIDIA, and supporting companies getting the Memphis supercluster training started at 4:20 a.m. local time. Knowing Elon, he probably specifically picked that time on purpose, but I won't go there. He says with 100,000 liquid-cooled H100s on a single RDMA fabric, it's the most powerful AI training cluster in the world. He's got the most powerful AI training cluster in the world at his disposal, so it's not hard to believe that Grok 3.0 could be the most powerful model we've ever seen. But we don't know what OpenAI is going to do. Maybe GPT-5 is going to come out before then, and he's going to have some more catching up to do. We just gotta wait and see. And since we're on the Elon train right now, talking about tweets and things that he's announcing and predicting lately, he said that Tesla will have genuinely useful humanoid robots in low production for Tesla internal use next year, and hopefully high production for other companies in 2026. So he's saying these Tesla Optimus robots that we've all been seeing videos of, he's going to be using them at Tesla next year, and other companies are going to be able to use them as part of their workforce by 2026. That feels fairly optimistic to me, but it also feels very plausible. Bing's AI got a bit of a redesign this week. If we take a peek at this little video here, you can see that when they give it a question, it actually answers the question on the left side, and the normal search results that you're used to are actually pushed over to the right side. We can see here's another screenshot. How long can elephants live? The answer is right here with some more details, the source of the actual response that it gave, and then the traditional search results that you'd expect are down this right sidebar. Now, I did a search on
I think majority of the EA news are this. मैं पूरा वीडियो नहीं कर रहा because ये वीडियो काफी लंबी हो जाएगी. I don't know whether all of this is relevant or not as well. बहुत सारी चीजें हैं यार यहाँ पे. EA Sports AI है, 11 Labs अच्छे, मेरे ख्याल से सारे के सारे resources इसने डाले हैं. But I think we'll close the video here. Please let us know if you want to get these kind of AI related videos also in this channel, because then we'll make more of this. And please let us know if you like this video. If you do, please leave a like. Please share this with your community, and we will see you guys in the next one.